the board that.
Good evening and welcome to the recess meeting for the town of Tustin. No opening items. Item number 2 on old business is the town hall, the AC heat pump split units. At this point, we still only have 2 quotes. The 2 quotes that we did have are still valid. We need 1 more to meet the procurement policy. So we're hoping to have that by the next meeting. The next regular meeting.
Did we approach the Olson? Did we approach Olson Mechanic?
I thought they had one.
They're one of our quotes.
Oh, I'm sorry. That's right. It's Olson and.
Olympic Valley, yes, they both have their current, we reached out a couple other companies, we're just waiting for a response.
Okay, in old business 2.2, we've got our quotes in for the pavilion projects. Some of the quotes that we have are also for the concrete part of the project. And I think if the board is in agreement as far as that particular part goes, if the project goes through, we would not do the concrete. We spoke with the highway department regarding the highway department doing the actual labor and then using stone and millings instead of the concrete if it goes through.
Stone and what?
Stone and millings, similar to blacktop.
Oh,
But it would be a solid.
It would be a solid. Yes.
So a baby stroller can be wheeled
Yeah.
easily.
there.
And they would do all the excavation work and the laying of it. We do have 4 quotes in for the material on the building. The board has some different quotes. They came in, wide lumber came in at $14,851.65. Fallsburg lumber came in at $13,316.08. Durham came in at $12,867.50, and 84 lumber came in at $10,540.71. I did go through the quotes to ensure that they met what the material list was, and they do comply to the materials. Discussions.
Greg, wasn't the park committee looking into this options for the sort of sale?
Yes.
Yeah. How does that reflect in the 10-year?
I was able to get, it was proving to be a bit challenging for vendors to give an estimate based on conjecture as opposed to a definitive project. I did find one vendor who was willing to give me an estimate based on a trade structure of the same size. And the materials for that were roughly $12,000. With a detachable roof and permanent columns.
And replaced how frequently?
They said that the roof would probably have to be replaced about every 10 years if it was left out, was what the salesperson told me. So
And that's one structure?
it is one step. I kept to get the estimate to move forward in a timely manner. I did keep the design very simple. I think we would have options and get, more detailed with it, but for something that basically has the same footprint and same shape as the pavilion in question. That
And what about snow removal?
snow removal, the roof would be taken off for the winter months, so. The thing that most intrigues me about a shade structure is we have been told that it would not require restrooms.
Would not require what?
Restrooms.
By Jim?
That's my understanding.
So in 10 years, it would be about,
They said right now it would be between $4,000 and $5,000 to replace the roof when the time comes. And they did assure me that within the simplicity of that design, that the materials and the structure and the design would be able to be supported going forward as long as possible. And I do believe that that roof would be considered waterproof and flame retardant.
Do you have a picture?
You don't need to be separated.
If you give me a second, I can find it. Feel free to talk about other things.
So you were saying that there would be, wouldn't be concrete.
No, it wouldn't be a poured concrete floor. The cost for that came in to the point where it was prohibitive. Don was gonna do the substructure anyway, do the excavation, lay the stone. So the conversation switched to, millings and using the millings, which are similar to blacktop. What we use on the roads. And have a milling foundation, milling floor. Unrelated. But the concrete came in. $20,000, $23,000. So this would be done with the materials that we've already got. In-house,
This is highway department,
the highway department material and man.
so it's an in-kind.
Doesn't look like it.
No, I'm looking for.
Have to come down before snow. We go up in the spring.
That makes sense, I mean,
Well, it also makes it no use all that time too.
right, but from say January, November to March, to Easter or something. Don't have a roof there.
Who would be using it during that time of year
Yeah.
anyway?
It's like a-
Well, there's lots of people that could be using it. If you have the kids down at the playground. And you have a little, families go there, so maybe the little one and the mom is playing at a table under a structure and.
Well, all the times that I lived on the flats, I never saw anybody in the playground in the winter.
Yeah, no.
Well, you guys, I think it's important that this is the time to ask those questions and have that discussion. However, I don't think we would be doing less for them than we're currently doing, and they would have the paved area to at least have something that they don't.
What's the advantage of concrete over blacktop?
I don't know if there's any real advantages. It was just a cost. I mean, that came in almost double what or actually double what the lowest material cost is on it.
But blacktop heats up and one of the problems in that.
Yeah, concrete heats up too, but it'll be underneath.
It'll be underneath it.
Yeah, it'll be in the shaded part.
And maybe it's better concrete cracks.
So does blacktop.
Yeah, I mean, I think it'll be
Yeah.
everything's got its pros and cons. They just sealed the court, basketball, pickleball court.
Oh, yeah.
This, as I said, it's very simple, but it's a 4 columns with a pitched roof for if there were snow or rain, that it would not. And it's available in different colors, different color combinations.
Pitched roof. It has an interior structure.
Yes.
But the bids we are looking at now have what kind of roof?
It's the same design that we had come down to, was it 24 by 30, Greg, with the the trusses throughout the structure and have a metal roof on it.
Just that. I mean, I like the idea that, it end runs assembly building need for restroom, but that looks kind of
Simple.
flimsy too.
So I think the point we're at now, and unless the board's got further discussion on it. We've got a low bid of $10,540.71. So that would be our cost. to Put this up, having the highway department putting in the base and then having the job corps put the structure up. I think at this point, we would determine whether we want to vote on this. If you don't want to vote on this, or just vote it down, then we would go into phase two. I think there's a board agreement that it's time to
Phase two would be what?
look at change structure or something else.
I do have at least one question. We had talked about whether or not the grant would be allowed to move towards the shade structure. We've talked about that for several
Right.
months and I've not heard an answer.
Cause I didn't call, but,
I know we
you
have,
can vote accepting or not accepting pending acceptance for something. You can formula.
And then the other question, do you want to respond to the
Nope,
first
no.
question? The second question was, as Job Corps has been brought in, do we think that for the installation of a shade structure, they would also help provide?
I think we could ask them. I don't. Off the bat, I would say, I don't see why they wouldn't, depending on, as long as it meets their requirements.
What has to be done, just the erect?
So
Put it up,
the
right?
shade structure, I think is more of the groundwork. With framing.
I don't know enough about the shade. The ones that I've seen are just usually they come in and they put the holes in that are permanent.
Yep.
And then it would be a case of getting the shades up and down.
Yep.
Whether that's.
So the 12,000 included only the part, not the labor.
That's my understanding. But of that, $5,000 of current marketing is already been established as the roof, the first version of the roof, the material, the stencil.
Right, so that would be the replacement of the. I think at this point, we, as a board, should move forward and, I'll put forth a motion on it. I think we've done due diligence. We are something that probably would have cost us, tens of thousands of dollars more to being at $10,540.71, if that's the option of pay. I do feel that we've taken a lot of things into consideration. This is not, certainly has not been a slam dunk to move forward. I think we've kind of avoided some of the things. We somehow gotten extremely stuck on the word shade. We've lost track of some of the other things we wanted to provide by putting some sort of a structure down, and that is someplace for people not only to seek the shade, but to run programs, gap, whatever the reason that they're gathering, for physical activity or social. Seniors, not looking at you because it's seniors, but just what I'm saying.
I'm not over.
So I would put forth a motion to accept the lowest bid from 84 Lumber, $10,540.71 for the purpose of constructing a pavilion on the flats. I will make the motion and I will ask for a second. Understanding that you can second the motion and still vote against it, but in order for it to come to vote, I will need a second.
I'll second.
I'm going to vote for accepting the vote bid. Correct?
I thought about this a lot and I would love to be able to provide all the things that the pavilion provides and think we need those things and would be voting for it if it did not require bathrooms. But unfortunately, I just look at where we are with maintenance as a concept overall. And I don't think we're ready to sustain that yet. And the expense of that for both the maintenance and the building of that concerns me as well. So I would love to continue to pursue providing the function with shade structures or anything else that did not require bathrooms, but I'm going to vote against it.
Kevin, I'm gonna go to you. I think you've been pretty steadfast.
Well, I think, Greg has a point. I was always against this. I was against this project from the beginning because I thought we got a grant, then we were pursuing a very expensive project to get the grant. I thought that was the wrong way to do it. I think the board has been good in the sense that they've done a lot of things to get the cost way down. So my cost concerns have been answered. The bathroom thing is kind of it's on the other hand, I really feel that this project has been discussed so long that I'm almost 180 in the sense that I want the board to, move on, not, moving on something for 15 months. So oddly enough, I'm going to vote for it.
Bruce?
I thought about it. Cost is down, but I'm so on the fence about it because yes, I see things for youth. Yes, I see things where people don't want something down there. I'm gonna abstain. I can't make a decision. I've sat up all day about this to the point where my blood pressure's through the roof.
Well, I've always been in favor of the idea. Then when we saw the initial drawing, I was shocked, I was horrified. And I happen to live on the flats and I happen to use the playground. And my biggest concern is the bathroom issue. But I really feel like there's a way to, sometimes you just have to move forward and do something and deal with it. And I know, there's a lot of support in my little neighborhood, but hopefully the bigger town will be happy. Because I think it's all about trying to bring people together. And if we turn down this opportunity, it's just a great opportunity, really, for the price. If we turn it down, I feel like it's going to be saying to the rest of Tustin, we don't want you down here. And I don't want that. I don't want that. And I don't want to be seen as the people who don't want my whole town to have a place to come. And I know that the option to take your kids to Kalahari or Resorts World for a birthday party is not in everybody's budget. And having a birthday party for your kids in your hometown in the playground where you can invite your friends and have a good time for cost of a couple of pizzas, maybe, and a birthday cake. Anyway, that's my image of what this would do for our town. And so I guess that's a long way of saying that I'm going to vote for it. I'm very happy with the price it's come in. I'm really concerned about the concrete bid that came in. I thought, oh, that's going to just trash the whole idea, but I feel good about this option. And if people are worried about maintenance, taking down that shade structure every January, and, you know, there's plenty of times in January, and February and March that you can get out there and play on the swings or. And we need more things to do in life. And more places, right? We need more activities for the kids. You know, we go to the little carousel fun park in Beach Lake, and there's more to do there than there is in my own hometown. And that's, you know, free. Anybody can go.
Cheap breakfast
You can get breakfast.
and a cheap breakfast.
Anyway, so, yeah, I'm gonna, yeah, go ahead. What? You're saying.
Okay,
So,
may I add something?
absolutely.
I think as we go into next year, we need to form another committee that looks at maintenance and all the things that go into that and becomes a clearinghouse, because I feel like there are lots of little projects that get kind of in the ether. It's unclear as to their status and keeping them updated so the public knows what's going on. I would be strongly in favor of a committee like that. I'm happy to be the chairperson.
What would the committee be in charge of?
Tracking maintenance, creating policies around it, making sure that we are regularly doing the things that we commit to, that they are budgeted well and completely, and becomes the end point of tracking where we are with projects or everything.
It could be a clearinghouse for, you know, if you see something, say, oops, that we need to maintain.
I think your chair.
Yeah, we need a new chair.
Even at the beginning of the year, like maintenance on all construction.
Yeah, it's like if you see, like, all the garbage on the deck is overflowing or something,
Yeah,
write an
exactly.
email and that committee would be, we were informed on January 17th of this. And on January 18th, something happened, or on February 2nd, nothing's happened, you know, what I mean, that's a good thing.
And I just wanted to bring that up against the concerns that we've been talking about in the past.
I mean, maintenance is certainly something that we've heard from the people. There's no doubt about that. And there's always places that we can improve. You know, and it's the one thing that always comes up is town's got poor track record of maintenance. And it has.
Which is why I voted against the pavilion. And one of the things I will say within the discussion of that, Kath and I were talking about this, is every time I brought up the maintenance, no one discussed the maintenance. Everyone told me why it's a good idea, but did not offer anything substantive. And I think if we did have a better track record, we have a lot of concerned people out there that have fine reason for being concerned. If we had been better at maintenance, I think there would have been a lot less concern about this. So, anyway, I will put my money where my mouth is, and if we do that, I will happily be in. God help.
Well, you'll be involved because you're one of that. I hear about it. That's for sure. Okay, so the lowest quote from 84 Lumber has been accepted by the board, so we will contact them, we will contact the job floor, we will speak with Don, and we will let Jim know. And then we will move forward.
Can we, we now have we had an extension granted. Funds must be spent down and receipts submitted no later than the 15th of December. So can we get, our only expense really is the lumber.
Correct.
So can we have that
Yes.
and pay it?
December.
I'm talking about our grant deadline and the expenses being spent.
Yes, as soon as we get the invoice and that paid out, I'll make sure you have copies of everything.
Okay,
In the event that those supplies are delivered or construction begins, where will they be?
They would be stored at the site.
I think that's a huge mistake.
What I'm gonna say is that they will be delivered after the clearing is done and the foundation is
Okay.
ready to put it up.
I'm sorry, I jumped.
No, that's fine. I wouldn't want them delivered before. Okay.
And this isn't a job that should take more than,
Probably 3 days. Yeah, I think it'll take the highway department longer to get their grading and stuff done. And getting set.
Do we have a schematic of where we intend to place the
Yes,
structure?
we've got that in the park.
I'm not able to be at the parks meetings.
We can get you that.
Now it's changed over time.
All in the same area still.
Can we post that on the website? for People who
Oh,
are
that'd be
questions.
great.
Anything else regarding 2.2 in the pavilion before I move into one item under new business? Any further discussion on the pavilion? 3.1 under new business is a motion to authorize the court clerk to apply for the JCAP grant. This is a yearly grant that he applies for the court system. And when does that have to be?
Eleven. Seven, he said, it was before our next regular meeting, I know that.
Okay.
Right then, it's that week, yeah.
So I make a motion to authorize the court clerk to apply for the current JCAP grant.
I'll second.
Can I just ask what it's for? What are you putting in for?
I'm not sure yet.
Chair.
I just need the approval to apply for something.
Oh, but you don't know what you're putting in for yet.
It is not a matching grant or anything.
No, I know, I was just inquiring as to what we were doing.
Yeah, I could. Sure, you've got a few things you need, being that you've been using down here for the court.
Chairs, table,
What kind of range is it?
I'm sorry.
Dollar range?
Up to
How much?
30,000. Up to 30,000.
So that's the heating unit? Or,
We will discuss.
or the waterproofing?
Yes. Anyway, I still second. Thank you.
Yeah, it's,
All in favor? I oppose. Is there any other new business?
I have something. I don't, know if this is the appropriate time or there's a procedure to follow. I would like to add one person to the Parks Committee because 4 means if 2 people can't make it, we really don't have a quorum. I have a candidate in mind from the Narrowsburg Beautification Group. Is this the time to discuss that?
It's a good time as any.
All right, Susie McGowan has been the liaison with Narrowsburg Beautification. She can certainly keep us up on their initiatives relating to public spaces in the parks. And she is willing to serve, so I would like to appoint her as a 5th member of that.
I think it's a great idea.
By the board? Good me. Got that in the form of a motion, a second?
I'll second it.
All in favor?
Aye. Do we have to give her a city or a town email address?
We'll go into public comment. The board is going to have an executive session for the purpose of discussing real property. So we will open the floor to public comment before doing that. Michael?
Using a microphone or
No, I think we could hear you.
put the woman out here. All you just said is the height of financial irresponsibility. All of the taxpayers. There are now blank checks into a bathroom project. That we have no idea what it's gonna cost. We have never had a number attached to that. So how we can proceed with one part of it without knowing what the other part was is irresponsible. Second point I will make is I'm tired of hearing the false narrative that the residents of the flats are trying to keep everybody out. Aside from Main Street, the Flats is the most welcoming community in this town, judged by the number of people who you see walking, jogging, biking around all summer long. We don't keep them out. We don't try to throw them out. We don't put any barriers up to keep them out. This narrative that we just want to keep everybody out. It's an exclusive neighborhood. Nobody can come down there. It's false. It should not be repeated. It is.
I'd like to speak to that because I brought it up. And I don't think that it is true that everybody wants to keep the Flats a closed community at all. But I think that there is an impression in the larger community that that is true. And I've heard it from people who live outside of our.
Doing convenience, so we just know the impression.
No, we're building a pavilion for an actual need. No, we're not doing it to dispel, but I'm saying that. Just in speaking to what, you're saying that I'm repeating, this. And I'm somehow dissing my own community.
Yeah. True.
Well, I don't mean to do that at all. But I have heard from people outside of the community that is actually, and I think.
These are people who never come into that community have the impression.
Well, I mean,
If they were there, they would see something completely different. I think you know that, I know.
As a representative, maybe you should encourage people who have that negative opinion. Come down. It'd be welcome. You're our representative of us. Change that narrative.
Now we have another representative.
Actually, you've got 5
We're not
representatives.
letting him vote.
Yeah, we're not,
You've got 5 representatives.
represent any.
I would. As much as. What you dislike what Cass says, when you say, we've got 2 representatives. Who am I representing?
Yeah.
I'm representing everybody equally. As each of the members up here, because I sit in the center and I run the meetings, does it make me any more powerful? Does it give me any more clout? But I represent you, Michael, as much as I do the 10 Mile River, Lava, Beaverbrook. Sure. And that, if we want to talk being welcoming and inclusive, that's how we do it. We represent everybody, and we're all one community here. We might disagree on things. That's part of the open dialogue.
I will tell you that one of the most pivotal moments in my thought process and development of this concept of the pavilion was when a resident said to me, "We don't want Main Street down here." And I was horrified. Because what does that mean?
Means
What
no
do you mean?
commercial activity is what it means. No commercial. That's what it means.
This is not commercial activity.
We never said it, but we're saying we don't want commercial activity.
Right, well, I agree with you, we
Okay.
shouldn't have commercial activity. Maybe we should be careful about all the Airbnbs that are in the Flats, for that matter. You should be more concerned about that than you are about the pavilion, in my opinion. Okay. Pardon me?
Any other public comment? Yes.
Like to, something that my book said, I don't understand how you proceed with a project that Lori is going to involve at some point additional expense, major additional expense and maintenance without having to look what that means and how to.
Sector.
Regarding that road to nowhere, down in the playground area. What are your plans for that? Are you going to take those stones up? Or what are the plans?
There has been discussion about taking them up. My last discussion was today about that actually. And utilizing the stone in some other area within the park.
How much?
now. And the other thing I'd like to know is, the microphones working, I know they did.
Poorly, they work poorly.
You know, exaggerated. No, we can't, okay, thank you. You better have those things checked. We wanna hear what you have to say, all we can hear. Humbling. Out there, you're to listen.
May I make a respectful suggestion? Until we get those new microphones, I would suggest people that are having a harder time hearing, maybe we come a little closer with our chairs and people sit towards the front. It might be helpful.
No, you're.
We are talking about it. It is under discussion. I'm just saying, as
Complained about it a long time.
Yeah.
Why I brought it up.
When I first
It's a
came
fair
back as supervisor, we got that sound system because nobody could hear it. Now what we're finding out is that they are not omnidirectional mics. They're not omnidirectional mics, so you have to speak right into them. It's more like what a singer would use.
and we cannot share because of the microphones they are.
But, they had microphones that worked prior, you know, years ago.
So we have to replace them.
These are the microphones that they bought when Carol was still on office. And they're, like you said, they have to talk like this to them. They're not microphones that project better. And it was a cost thing when they put them.
What
That was
kind of price are
way
we
back in
talking about?
2017. I have to look it up. I can look it up for you if you'd like, if that's something you want. We could definitely look into it for you.
I
Well,
need them for a tour. Yes, you do. They're paying for them.
they'll be.
Any other public comment? Yes.
I would just like to go on the record. So there's cameras everywhere, so I'm on the record.
It's right there. No, nobody at all.
I'd just like to go on the record saying that we're gonna speak before Mike, we're trying to anyways. I can't reiterate or more strongly, say that I agree with what he said about this. We're going forward with the project. We do not know the cost of it. You know that what the materials cost. So he used the term blank check. I guess I would probably use something similar, term similar to that. You know, the counterfeit machine in my basement's broke now, so I can't really, you know, print out all the money that a lot of people have topped out, and I think it's an unfortunate thing that this was not actually considered as part of going down the road, all in, what it's supposed to cost. I think that's a mistake. Going on the record saying that. Probably, I'm speaking for myself, but I probably do share sentiment of a considerable amount of people. So I just wanted to say that. And then some other thing was just, where are we with trees for the park?
We gave a report on that at the last Parks meeting. We are looking at 6 mature trees. The discussion is ongoing. We have identified 2 types of maples. And now the point has been made that perhaps we should have more than 1 species of trees. So if there is some kind of disease, that at least half the trees would, in theory, be protected, depending on what we were talking about. I do have a price from one garden center. I've got to go back and get some more species, but it does seem, I had sent Ben a question saying, is it better to spend the money this year or budget for it for next year? But discussion is ongoing, and right now it looks like it would be 6 mature trees as a start. Some combination of maples and birches, because we did get a lot of community feedback that sycamores were not to people's liking.
Okay, thank you for your time.
On that note, I just want to say, a lot of garden centers have sales now.
Yeah.
So, and the spring is more expensive, so I would think, I was looking up to see if they are, but anyway, that's something to keep in mind.
Yes,
Just a point of information, I know you've given a quote for lumber materials. Is there anywhere that you made public in detail what all the expenses will be involved? Because I don't know what the jobs were, how they look. I don't know what's involved in materials for the ground. There's $10,000, and I know that experience, that never sticks.
$10,000, $10,540 is the material for the pavilion itself. The Job Corps is part of a career programming. They come in and there is no cost to have them come in. The materials that we're using for the base for the highway department are materials that we already have in our possession. The millings are ground millings that come back from roads that we've re-milled and brought in. So that's those two products are already on site at the highway department. That's why we chose that.
So you're really confident that $10,000 changes speed.
I don't see anything that's going to change out of that $10,540 figure, because we're not paying for the Job Corps. We've already got the stone, we've already got the millings.
And we have the grant,
I'm sorry,
and we have the grant.
right?
What?
The grant. Any other public comment? Yes,
It's, good evening. I'd like to compliment you on, the way you've gone about trying to keep costs down. And I've sat in a lot of meetings. I think I see a turnaround since that, there's been a lot of discussion and thoughtfulness trying to make it affordable. I think we all as taxpayers. On the other hand, of course, without knowing the cost of the bathrooms and the future maintenance, it's a dichotomy that's unusual to go about the project. With that said, my biggest concern with the whole playground down in the flats, there's no holistic plan. It's just been piecemeal over the years. We'll put in a children's garden, we'll take out, we'll put in exercise equipment, we'll take out exercise. And so it goes. And it's such a small area. I mean, it's, less than 2 acres. Sure, we could have a holistic plan that looks at the whole area, say, this is what we foresee going forward in the next 5 years. These are the activities that we see. These are the policies that we see in place. I mean, it's not really rocket science. It's a very small area. And I think the board will continue to get spanked by its constituents if they continue with this piecemeal approach, because the piecemeal approach is really not in the sense that, it lends itself for efforts or waste. So again, I would encourage, I think the board is working very well together. I think that I've seen a big change since last year on the information that you've been disseminating to your constituents. So tough grades for that. But I really think missing key to this whole playground recreational area down there, a holistic plan that ties everything, whether it's baseball or soccer or pickleball, whatever it is down there, ties it all together so everybody understands what the next 5 years is going to look like. Hopefully, we can budget around that and get a meaningful understanding of impact with the funds, the limited funds we have.
I would absolutely invite you to the meetings that Greg chairs for the parks and open spaces, because that's exactly what he's trying to do. I mean, he's got an agenda. We don't like to have board members with an agenda. He's got an agenda.
Can I just address that question? There has been a plan that is available, and that was the impetus behind the pavilion being put in for as a grant project. What could happen is maybe a review of that plan to see if that's still something that people want. But that was what we were working off of. And it's called the multi-generational plan. And it has a layout of the items that were to be included in that.
Any other public comment? If not, I'm going to move to an executive session.
I have two on Zoom.
Okay,
Well, they in the chat. The families and children of Narrowsburg are so thankful for the time and thought that you put into this discussion. We are so grateful. Thank you to the board for approving the pavilion for the families and children of Narrowsburg. Pavilion is going to be a great addition.
do you have anything on Zoom that wants to speak live?
No.
Then I would make a motion to enter into executive session for the purpose of discussing real property. Second,
I'll second.
all in favor? Aye. Opposed. Thank you, folks.
You're adjourning to Escalita, don't forget.
I still have no power, but I might be there.
Thank you.
Everybody, thank you so much for your opinions and.
Okay, so no further business?
To adjourn.
I'll second that.
All in favor?
I'm gonna say I'm against.
I have.
You want to
I'm
leave
just
the meeting?
voting